and I have the incredible honor of being able to introduce him to you. Mayor Pete Buttigieg was a two-term mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and a Democratic candidate for president in 2020. He graduated from Harvard University, he's an Oxford Rhodes Scholar, and he enlisted in the U.S. Navy Reserve and became a lieutenant when he was deployed to Afghanistan in 2014. In February of 2020, if you'll remember, he won those Iowa caucuses, becoming the first openly gay person to ever win a presidential primary caucus. Mayor Pete, we are so thrilled to have you with us here today.
Well, thank you, Deepa, and I am so excited to be joining everyone here in support of DigiDems. I'm sorry that we're not together in person, but excited to at least be able to connect with you virtually because I have such high regard for the efforts, the work, and the community that DigiDems has built. I've been grateful for this work as a concerned citizen who cares a lot about making sure our democracy is protected from interference, but of course also very personally as a candidate who benefited from the work that they've done. When we set up my campaign, we started here in South Bend with 4 people on staff, maybe another 4 if you count the interns. We had to grow quickly. We had to swiftly develop a lot of capabilities and competencies and head off against a lot of dangers and threats. And DigiDems was so helpful in setting up infrastructure, in connecting us with the talent that it took to run a secure 21st century campaign. And I remember the consultations with me and with Chasten just to make sure that our personal technology was up to speed and secure. All of this was incredibly helpful as we spun up so quickly to prepare for all of the intensity of a national campaign. And as we continued building up into a more and more sophisticated headquarters and a campaign that I'm now so proud of in terms of the distance that we covered and what we were able to do, time and time again through all of that, my team and I were turning to DigiDems to help us source the highest caliber of talent as we were growing and to help us get good advice too. I actually think that Democrats have learned the hard way not to just assume that we're the high-tech party that's ahead of the curve. I think that's a big part of our self-image, and we were certainly among the first to online organizing, online fundraising. But I'd say part of the lessons of 2016 were that in many ways we got outclassed in the digital space by Republicans. And I'm not only talking about the interference or the nefarious things. I'll come to that in a minute. I just mean that when it came to fully harnessing digital tools to engage, to persuade, we were a beat behind in a lot of ways in 2016. Of course, we learned quickly from that lesson, and a lot happened, especially going into 2018, to make sure we didn't get caught off guard again. The same is so critically important going into 2020 in terms of establishing the critical best practices just to make sure our organizations are running well. Again, cybersecurity, which I talked about earlier in the context of our own campaign, and which is a real challenge, especially for many of the smaller campaigns out there where so many people are wearing so many hats. And as we know, a lot of the cybersecurity challenge is not all technological, but human, because we're only as strong as the least well-trained person who could be a vulnerability if they haven't been built up and given the capacity to be part of the solution on cyber. Helping campaigns work more efficiently, getting our processes better, creating and developing and finding the right kind of up-to-date software, all of this is helping Democrats win. It is incredibly important in this era. In our campaign, our thinking was that we didn't even have a digital department because it was so integrated in the work that we did. That would have been like having a department of telephones. A campaign in 2020 has to be on top of the digital dimensions of each of the different disciplines that the different teams are doing. And we need help, which is where DigiDems comes in. Certainly from our perspective in the 2020 campaign on everything from the way that apps work to the way that people connect around technology. It was just an absolutely critical part of our path. Now, I often say electing a new president, defeating Donald Trump is obviously imperative, but it's also just table stakes. If we really want to defeat Trumpism, if we want to win in terms of the era ahead, then we've got to be ready to win up and down the ballot. That's why we started the effort Win the Era, political action committee and a 501c4 that we put together after my campaign ended in March. And I'm really proud to be supporting a generation of bold, progressive leaders at every level, from the U.S. Senate to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. And I'm really excited to see that a lot of the candidates that we're backing, like Gina Ortiz-Jones, who's going to flip a seat from red to blue in Texas, to Jamie Harrison, who is preparing to send Lindsey Graham home and into retirement in South Carolina, to leaders we need to keep in office, like Lauren Underwood and Sharice Davids. DigiDems is working with these same candidates that we are, and I'm so thrilled to see that happen because, again, it's especially in those other races beyond the presidential campaign that even just one or two people with the right kind of digital equipment in-house or the right consultations and relationships on the outside can make all of the difference. So, I know we're all here because we believe in electing Democrats, and we're committed to doing that hard work because we know how important it is to wage these successful campaigns. And this takes financial resources. I'm so thankful to know that so many on this call have generously donated. And if you're thinking about it, consider mine to be a voice in the chorus urging you to find ways to support this critically important work. Since first getting to know DigiDems, I have been so impressed with the really unique offering that they bring to the campaigns and the talent pool that they're connected with. That's where I think the return on investment comes from for every campaign that they partner with. Because so many of these operations have a handful of staff members who are hired with the expectation that they will perform multiple roles. And without this program, it just wouldn't be possible for so many campaigns to hire someone full-time as a technologist to bring their expertise and their resources to every other part of the campaign. So that's what makes what we're supporting here so critically valuable. It is a needed and essential front in all of the fights that are ahead. And I believe DigiDems is at the heart of our opportunity to be ahead of the curve and ahead of the opposition when it comes to going into these critically important world historical elections. So thank you for your support. I'm looking forward to the next time we get together, hopefully in person. And until then, stay well, stay motivated, and stay safe.